I grew up in a really straight environment, not homophobic, but straight. You know, I used to play in like punk bands, hardcore bands. I never had like a gay friend, ever. But I was always the guy that the girls, my friend's girlfriend, called me to go with them to buy presents for them, for the guys. You know, but I never realized that until 2007 that I met this guy. And it was something like, whoa, that I never felt anything like it before, never felt like sexually attracted to a guy, never thought about being with a guy, ever. Yeah, I was on tour with my band in New York, and this guy literally, he walked in front of me. He didn't look at me, I had no idea who he was, he walked in front of me. And that was the wow moment. Because I didn't know what was happening. I felt like I was 12 years old, like falling in love for the first time. And this guy walked and went to dance or whatever. I kind of like, you know, kind of against the door. What's he doing? What's he like? I did that for so long, for like probably 30 minutes, that he came talk to me.
He recognized that you were recognizing him, looking at him.
He's probably telling his friends that I'm a creeper or something, you know, that I'm staring at him or something.
Who are you? Yeah.
Exactly. And then I got scared because it was my first time in New York. I didn't really know how New Yorkers deal with that kind of thing.
So what did he say when he came up to you?
He came to me and like, hey. I'm like, oh, hello. What are you drinking? I'm like, nothing, I don't drink. And it was that awkward moment for like the 3 seconds that feels like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, I guess that's the wrong answer, huh? It's like, yeah, definitely the wrong answer. Like, oh, I'm drinking water, I guess. So let me buy a water. So we went to the bar and we talked for 2 hours.
Wow.
After 2 hours, I had no idea if he was gay or not.
It seems like he would be.
Exactly, but at that moment, I'm like...
You just didn't know. You didn't know what...
I did it because it was my first time interested in someone in the same sex.
You talked for 2 hours, then what?
I was supposed to stay at my friend's house. She disappeared on that same. That was the first day I got in New York.
You had no place to stay?
Not replying my message and everything. And he asked me like, oh, where are you staying? And I was like, well, and I explained to him what happened. My friend disappeared, I don't know. So I might get a hotel somewhere around here. He's like, well, that's, you know, you're gonna spend a lot of money for that. I'm like, oh, that's fine. You know, I'm like, I don't have options. And he said, okay, so I have an apartment really close to here, and I have 2 roommates, but they're out of town. So you're more than welcome to stay there. And I was like, I'm not that easy, I'm sorry. He was just like offering, you know, for me to stay in his house, to crash in his house. And I didn't want it because I had no idea what was happening.
Were you still super into him after talking to him too? Obviously when you saw him, you were like, oh my God.
It was a very interesting conversation. He definitely got my attention, but it was never a sexual attraction. It was like more like a hard, a pure like feeling. You know, like, oh my God, this guy's beautiful. When he offered me to stay at his house, I took that in a bad way. I should not have done that, but I took it in a bad way. I was like, this guy wants to like, or he wants to rape me, or he wants to kill me because I was staring at him for like 30 minutes, or whatever. We went to another subject, and he offered again. Like, hey, I'm just letting you know, I know how it works for bands, for independent bands. You're gonna spend a lot of money. I was like, you know what? I would, but it's 4 guys in the band. They had a place to stay, but I was just playing a game to see what he would say. And he's like, no, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I can bring everyone. I was like, that, you know, maybe he's a cool guy. So somehow I accepted the offer, but I brought one of my friends with me. So we went to his place, and the deal was, he said, okay, one sleep in my room, and the other one in the living room. And for some reason, I was like, I sleep in the living room, and I have no idea why I said that. So my friend, he's a really big reader. He reads 24/7. So when I was about to sleep, he asked me to trade places, because he has that light. It's like, I don't want to bother the guy with my lights. Do you mind sleeping in his room? I was like, no, not at all. So I went to his room. This was a really small room with 1 big bed and 1 little desk. And I was like, where am I gonna sleep? It's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh my God. I was supposed to stay in New York for 5 days. So I stayed with this guy. We became really good friends, walking him to college, doing my thing, coming back to have lunch with him, doing my thing in the city, coming back to have dinner and watch a movie.
As friends?
Well, we were like together, but nothing sexual. We kissed, we'd hold hands for my first time. And for me, that was like a really good moment. Yeah. It was my first time in New York, the first time with a guy. It was beautiful.
I was gonna say, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that we didn't got to the point for like the sexual part. Not that I don't like that, but it was pure. It wasn't because I was horny or he was horny or whatever it was.
It was organic.
When I came back to LA, I stopped to think about my sexuality for the first time.
Yeah.
And then I realized how happy I was, how natural I was on those 5 days. I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to open my head, open my mind for whatever I think is right for me as a person. And here I am.
Wow. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.